So how gorgeous is this berry cobbler? And guess what? It's so easy to make. Each one takes on its own beautiful look like a masterpiece, golden and bubbly. And wait till you see how easy it is to put together. Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make an easy and delicious berry cobbler. Yes, a perfect summertime dessert, super easy to put together, and we're going to be using fresh berries. I'm going to be using raspberries and blueberries to be precise, and I'm going to make this from scratch, but don't let that intimidate you because this recipe is so easy. You're not going to believe it. It comes together super quickly, very few ingredients, very little skill necessary, and you're going to have a beautiful, delicious, ooey gooey gorgeous berry cobbler that you can be proud of. So I am super excited to teach you how to make this. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 3/4 of a cup of sugar plus another 1 cup separate, 1 1/4 cups of water, 1 cup of self-rising flour. Be sure you buy the bag that says self-rising, 1 cup of whole milk, 8 tablespoons, in other words, 1 stick of salted butter, 6 ounces of fresh raspberries, and 6 ounces of fresh blueberries. And I'm going to be serving mine with Cool Whip because I absolutely love this cobbler with Cool Whip, but that, of course, is optional. You will also need a rectangular baking dish, a serving spoon and a serving fork, some wet measuring cups, some dry measuring cups, a medium-sized bowl, and you'll also need a small saucepan, some oven mitts, and of course, if you're going to be serving it with Cool Whip, be sure to pick up a tub. It's also amazing with vanilla ice cream, and of course, it's amazing by itself. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started on making our easy and delicious berry cobbler. The first thing you're going to want to do is put your small saucepan on your stove, and to it you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and then right on top of that you're going to add 1 1/4 cups of room temperature water. So what we're going to be creating is a heavy syrup, and that's really going to make our berry cobbler ooey and gooey. So all you're going to want to do now is come in and give the ingredients a little stir. You just want to start to incorporate the water and sugar, but don't worry because the sugar is going to melt down as we cook it. So now you're going to want to turn your stove on to low, and then we are just going to allow this to start simmering away. It's just going to create a beautiful syrup. It's going to thicken it up, and it's going to be perfect to add that yummy ooey gooiness to our delicious berry cobbler. So while that is simmering away, we're going to want to take advantage and turn on our oven because we do want to preheat it. We want it nice and hot. And so you're just going to set your temperature to 350 degrees, making sure you have a rack in the center. And then you're just going to come over here every once in a while and just give this a little stir. You see there's no more solid sugar. Those crystals have all broken down, and little by little this is going to become the perfect syrup for our cobbler. So now, once this is just simmering away, let's move on to start preparing the rest of our ingredients. So we're going to add to a medium-sized bowl 1 cup of self-rising flour, and I'm just kind of spreading it around. And then right on top of that, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar. And then once again, using my trusty fork, I'm just going to incorporate the sugar and the flour. And what I'm doing is I'm going around and just making sure that there aren't any clumps. I just want to make sure to break all those little clumps down. That's why I love to use a fork for this, because it really helps incorporate the ingredients and make sure it's not clumping up. So now my sugar and water have been simmering away. It's been 18 minutes on my stove on low. And remember, of course, stoves vary, but 18 minutes is all it took to create this syrup, and it will thicken a little more as it sits. So now I'm just gonna turn it off now that the sugar has dissolved and it's absolutely beautiful and it's just the perfect consistency. And I'm gonna take that off of the heat. And then I'm just gonna let it sit a little bit, but I like to kind of stir it around to just help it release the heat because I do want it to cool down a little bit before I add it in to the rest of the ingredients. So giving it a little stir really helps cool it down quickly. So now it's just slightly cool and I'm going to pour it into my measuring cup. And I'm using a liquid measuring cup because I want 3/4 of a cup of this syrup. And it looks like I am almost precise. Maybe I have just a touch left over, but that's it. That's all I'm gonna need, 3/4 of a cup. So I do wanna measure it to make sure that I have the right amount of syrup. And then it's just slightly warm at this point. So now I grab my baking dish, I add to it my full stick of butter because I want that stick of butter to melt. So what I do is I take my baking dish and I'm gonna place it on a center rack in my already preheated oven, and I'm gonna set an 8-minute timer, which is the time it takes in my oven to melt that butter stick down. So of course that also could vary, so keep an eye on it. And then after 8 minutes, this is what it looks like, nice and hot out of my oven. And I'm just gonna swirl it around. I just like to make sure that all of that beautiful butter is just covering the entire bottom of my baking dish because we are going to be pouring our ingredients right on top of this delicious melty butter. And the combination of these ingredients is going to result in a crazy good berry cobbler. So now I've measured out 1 cup of whole milk. And then since that is in a larger measuring cup, I'm just gonna go ahead and add my 3/4 of a cup of that beautiful syrup that we created right into the milk. And if not, then you can do this in a bowl, it's fine. And then I'm just gonna give it all a little stir and just gently bring the ingredients together. This is why I like my syrup to cool down just a bit because I don't wanna add it too hot into my milk. And then I'm just gonna come in again with my fork and just make sure that everything is nicely distributed here. We have our self-rising flour and our sugar. And then I'm gonna grab this mixture of milk and our beautiful syrup, and I'm gonna add it right on top of the dry ingredients. And then I'm just gonna use my spoon to bring the ingredients together. So I like to use the spoon to scrape the sides of the bowl, and then of course the sides of the spoon to just break down any clumps in that flour because you don't want it to stay full of little clumps. So what you do is you see how I use the back side of my spoon and I just kind of press the pieces of dry flour against the sides of the bowl to make sure that I just break all those little clumps down. And then what you're going to be left with is just a beautiful mixture, but it's definitely going to be runny, but don't worry because that is what we're looking for. This is the consistency you're going to need. Now remember that delicious melty butter, which smells amazing? Well, now we're gonna pour this beautiful mixture right on top. And I'm telling you, I wish you could smell my kitchen right now. This is crazy delicious. Just the combination of the butter and the syrup, it's just over the top. My senses are on overload. It smells incredible. So you see, all I do is just pour it right on top. Super easy, could not be any easier. And then once I get all of that yummy goodness in, then almost all the job is done. All that's left now is to add our beautiful fruit. So I rinsed off these 6 ounces of beautiful fresh raspberries, and then I'm just going to sprinkle them right on top of this beautiful mixture that we have created. And yes, you don't have to be precise. There's no exact way to do this. You just use your hand and just sprinkle them all over. You're going to use the entire container of 6 ounces. And then once those are on, then it's already, of course, looking gorgeous and smelling amazing. But of course, that's not enough because I'm also going to be adding another 6 ounces, but this time it's going to be blueberries. I also rinsed these guys up and these are ready to be just sprinkled on. And look at how gorgeous This is a dessert that I always love to make around 4th of July or Memorial Day because it just looks patriotic, especially in its uncooked form. I mean, there's just something so beautiful and so colorful and almost red, white, and blue about this dessert. So I absolutely love to associate it with patriotic holidays and, of course, summer. So yeah, I did eat that little last blueberry as a little sample. It's sweet and delicious. And now look at how gorgeous this cobbler is looking. And look at how little effort went into it. We made a syrup, mixed together some dry ingredients, combined it all, topped it with some fruit. Could it be any easier? And you will have a delicious berry cobbler. It's going to be ooey and gooey. So we're going to grab this very carefully and we're going to place it on a center rack in our oven. And then we're going to set a 50-minute timer to allow this to bake. And it's going to bubble up and get golden, and your kitchen is going to smell divine. It's already looking incredible. It's almost ready, and I cannot wait to take it out. This is going to be absolutely delicious. And you saw how easy that was. Couldn't be any easier. So once your 50 minutes have passed, then you're going to bring out your gorgeous cobbler and look at that sizzle. That fruit has just completely broken down. It's bubbling everywhere. It's become this gorgeous crust, and it almost looks like lava. Like lava is just breaking through the molten rock. It is so absolutely gorgeous and it smells incredible, and it is such a tasty, easy, and delicious dessert. You're not going to believe it. It's going to become one of your favorites, I am sure. And of course, as I said earlier, I love some of this nice and hot with some Cool Whip on top. It's my favorite way to serve it, even though it's just absolutely amazing as is. It needs nothing more. You could just serve it as is. I've eaten it warm. I've eaten it room temperature. I've eaten it cold. I eat it however because it is super, super yummy no matter how you serve it. But of course, we're going to take advantage of the fact that it's still nice and warm and recently taken out of the oven. And I'm just going to scoop some up and take a look at the inside and the transformation of those ingredients. Look at the berries. They've just become almost something completely different. And I didn't have to add any cornstarch or any thickener, just that natural pectin in the fruit combined with that syrup, that self-rising flour. It just really does wonders to those beautiful fresh berries. So of course, I am going to top mine with some Cool Whip because, as I said, love this stuff with this cobbler. It's just the perfect combination of flavors. Look at how yummy that looks. It just is so crazy good. There are not enough words to describe how yummy this is. It's just a combination of that beautiful, crusty, golden top that we've created by mixing those ingredients together. And of course, that yumminess, those berries, and that Cool Whip is getting just slightly melty from the warmth of the cobbler. Oh my. All right, time to sample this because I'm literally salivating. This looks so crazy good. I just want to make sure to get both textures in here because this is looking amazing. Oh, wow. So crazy good. Just as yummy as I remember it being. Super, super tasty. Of course, I'm going to grab some more with a little bit of that Cool Whip because the combination, I'm telling you, you're going to have to try this. It's so crazy good. All of those beautiful textures and flavors together. So crazy, crazy yummy. So good. Just look at this stuff. Tell me this is not a beautiful, warm, inviting dessert. It's just the perfect summertime dessert. It's just easy, tasty, just absolutely yummy. And it was easy. And with that Cool Whip, the coolness, combined with the heat of the cobbler,
crazy good, crazy delicious. Yum.
So how crazy good does this berry cobbler look? And you saw how easy it came together. I wasn't kidding when I said this is an easy recipe, and it's so delicious and ooey gooey, inviting, warm, just so absolutely yummy. And you saw we didn't even add any cornstarch to our fruit, and the natural pectin just thickens them up, and they just kind of burst in the oven, and they combine with that yumminess, with that syrup and that mixture we made with our self-rising flour. How easy is that? And the result, spectacular. It just becomes so beautiful, and the way it just cracks as it bakes, it almost looks like lava bursting through. It's absolutely gorgeous. And now that I think about it, my shirt also looks a little bit like this berry cobbler. All I see are raspberries and blueberries, although they're flowers. They are definitely flowers. It wasn't on purpose, but how funny is that? Anyway, this recipe is delicious. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I love it when you like my videos, when you write a little comment, and when you share it with your friends. Thank you so much. I put a lot of effort into these videos, so thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe and to touch that little notification bell, and you'll get notified every time I put up a new recipe video, which I do about once a week. So there are tons of videos there. You can go over to my video tab, or you can search under playlists where they're broken down by categories. And either way, you're gonna find them all there, so you can't lose them. And of course, if you're not already following me on social media, be sure to follow me as Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest, and as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.